Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So this is going to be probably one of the strangest videos I've ever had to make. So around the end of May, I was contacted by this particular company, MagaBox. They'd obviously seen all my recent videos on Android TV boxes, and they reached out just asking me if I wanted to review theirs, to which I said sure. They sent a box out, and once it arrived, I did the usual stuff. So I started shooting some B-roll, taking some shots of the actual product itself, and then I got onto the actual testing part. All of this was pretty standard, and it was what I've become used to over the past few weeks, having done so many different Android TV boxes. And I just figured this is another option for everybody out there. Now, at this point, I had no idea about the price of the actual device. They didn't advise me what the price was, and from what I could see, it wasn't listed on the website either. So when the box arrived, got it hooked up, began the screen recording, which obviously the sellers were not aware of, which I'll come on to a little later on, and started to set up the box. Once again, very standard. You go into the App Store, you download the apps that are bundled with it, and that gives you the option to actually view live TV, roughly around about 2,000 channels from what I can see. It gives you VOD, and then it gives you playback or 7-day catch-up. The 7-day catch-up is pretty much useless on all of these kind of boxes because they pick 90 or 100 odd channels, and that's all you get. You don't get to go in and choose which channels you want to watch content back for. The VOD, to be fair, was pretty good, albeit it's not the quality that I would watch anything that I really wanted to watch. So it's more if you just wanted to put something on and you weren't really too fussed about the quality. The content loaded up reasonably quickly and the playback was nice and smooth. Then I came on to the live TV, and this is where sort of the problem started. So the interface is very unintuitive in how it works. So when you go in, it basically makes it like full screen, and you go in and you see the actual channel. So as with all of the boxes, generally there's a few options. So if you click right, it gives you the resources. If you click left, it will bring up the search, and if you click the OK, then it will bring up the EPG, or the overall channel selection. Now, the problem with this particular box is, say for example, I went into one of the folders like sports or something like that, and I click on, say for example, Sky Sports. Normally with every other box, when I then made that full screen and clicked OK again, it would then go back to that same space or that same slot. On this box, for some reason, it resets and it goes right back to the all channel list, and you have to search through the whole thing again. So that was the first issue. The second issue was with regards to the home screen. It's a very simple and basic layout, very clean looking, with just four or so apps along that middle row. You can add one manual app, but you can't add any additional ones. And where it gets weird is there's no actual folders option. So in order to get to your sort of bundled apps, you have to click on the App Store icon every single time. There is a shortcut for it on the remote. Once again, it's not very intuitive in terms of how it works. The next problem, if you install a third-party app, it only appears along that top row of apps. And once you install quite a few apps, that just becomes ridiculously long in terms of scrolling through them. Once again, there's no app folder that you can just click into and see those. Another problem with those top row of apps is the fact that when you install anything, unless you click to open it, so this is for third-party apps where you would normally install it and it gives you the option to either open or just hit done. If you hit done and you don't open the app, that app doesn't appear, and you then have to go and reinstall the app in order to access it, because once again, there is no app folder. So as you can see, there's a number of issues that I've already picked up just with basic usage. This is just within the first 5 to 10 minutes of actually using the box. I've tested it for a further couple of hours, and then I've gone back to the actual sellers or sender with my feedback. Now, every other time I've done this with every other supplier of a product, generally they will come back, they'll give me some guidance in terms of maybe a couple of things that I could do differently, and then they would also take on board any feedback that I've given that isn't related to a setting or a usage. So for example, a user experience. So for example, with the OK button, where it would just automatically jump back to all channels regardless of what you had clicked into. So whether it be US channels, whether it was sports, whether it was MLB, whatever folder you chose, it would always jump back to the all channels. So it makes it very annoying every single time you want to just quickly cycle through a few channels. When I gave them that feedback, rather than take that on board, the seller became very, very defensive. to the point where we had a bit of a ping pong with messages, and the seller just got more and more abrupt, more and more rude. I would go as far as saying that, and ultimately they sent me messages that are the opposite of what I would accept when it comes to doing reviews of products. So the seller just came out and just said it, that they don't want a review, they just want an advert. So they just want me to list everything good about the box and not list anything bad about the box. The way that my channel functions is that's not how I operate. So yes, may have had products in the past where I've done one whole video on the positives and one whole video on the negatives, as I did with my TVs in the past. But generally, when it comes to these kind of reviews, because people just want to watch one video, for me, the most important thing is the user experience. So does this product make the user experience good for the end user, or does it make it bad? And for me, there was too many little things that was making it bad. And these are things that they could probably fix through software, hence why I give the feedback. Now, at this point, I was already getting kind of annoyed. So I did go back to the seller with my feedback saying, look, this is not how you should operate. I'm going to be very honest with my viewers, and that's how I do things. The seller then came back to me and questioned whether I'd already recorded any footage. Now, at this point, because I hadn't edited anything, obviously I'm editing it now, I just said no. There was no footage that I could supply to them giving examples of what I was saying. So for example, one of the things that they claimed was untrue was, as you'll see, where I clicked into the Sky Sports channel and the channel was down. Another thing that I gave them feedback on was that the channels aren't even grouped together correctly. So for example, you've got 2 or 3 Sky Sports channels in the sports category and then a few of the other ones in the UK channels category. So they're completely separate. And you would have to go through and pick and choose and add all these to favorites manually, whereas all of these realistically should have been sorted out for you. So this is basic stuff. This is stuff that they can just fix on their end and it would make the end user's experience better. But they clearly didn't want that. So at this point, the seller is basically asking me questions about whether I've got any footage. When I said no, then the tone changed very quickly. So she basically just quickly apologized and said, oh, we don't want any video don't do any video, and you can just leave it. To which I replied, no, look, you've sent me the product, and I think it's only fair on my audience to make sure that they're aware of the issues that the box has. Long story short, the seller bombarded me with a few messages very quickly, and then she just stopped. I didn't really think much of it. And then a couple of hours later, when I'd finished whatever I was doing, I went up to record some extra footage from the box. At this point, as you can see from the video, she'd blocked the box. So obviously before sending it out, they probably would have made note of the MAC address and everything like that in order to locate the box or whatever else that they need to do. Now, this is where it got very interesting for me, because as a collaborator, as somebody that was working with this seller, I didn't really have any skin in the game. So it's not as though I've paid for this box, it's not cost me anything. Yeah, I've spent a little bit of time testing it, but I do that with a lot of products that I don't end up doing a video for because it just doesn't work for my channel. There wasn't really much to it, but by blocking the box, it just shows to me that this seller is so insecure about their product that they're not willing to allow you to get any footage that would be detrimental to them, even if that footage would actually work to their advantage and help them improve the product for the end customer. Secondly, if they're able to block the box so easily, then what's stopping them from blocking everybody else's boxes once they've had it for maybe 5-6 months? Because once you've paid them, that's it. In their own words, what you're paying for is a lifetime supply. And if they can just block the box left, right and center, then that doesn't give you much confidence in the actual product itself. As I've mentioned, I've tested several of these boxes and I've not had these types of issues or this particular issue with not only Android TV box sellers, but any product that I've reviewed in the past, be it from the smallest of manufacturers up to the biggest that I've worked with on my channel. So for me, this is something where I had to actually go out of my way in order to make a video and let you guys know that I do not recommend that anybody buys this particular box, and in particular not from this seller. Now, I'm not sure if this seller is just a franchise seller, so whether they do other products and this is just one of the products that they do, or whether she works directly for the actual manufacturers. If anybody from MagaBox is actually watching this, then you're more than welcome to reach out to me and see if we can come to some sort of resolution in terms of actually doing a proper review on a product and where you actually take on board the feedback. Because for me, I can't understand how any organization would think that they can get away with operating in this way. It is just ridiculous to think that they thought that they could just block the box and that would be the end of the story. It's only fair to anybody out there, especially for my viewers, but anybody out there that maybe is just doing a search to see whether it's worth buying this box or not, to let them know what kind of a seller they would be dealing with and what the potential downsides would be of taking this particular product over others. Now, the main thing for me is because there is so much competition out there, there's literally no reason for anybody to look at this box as a viable option because there's so much competition out there. I always say to people, I will give you the information in terms of what I think is the best solution for any given scenario. So this particular box was only aimed at the American and Canadian markets, and it wasn't really suited for the UK sort of market per se anyway, because it doesn't really cater to the sports and things that most people want when they're buying one of these boxes here. Even with that said, it still shouldn't, this experience shouldn't have been like this. So for me, I can't recommend this to anybody. I would go as far as to say, don't buy these products. No seller that operates in this manner should get your support. And there's plenty of other sellers out there. Many of them, I've got videos listed on my channel that operate in a much better way and they operate a lot more honestly. And I think that's the main thing for any of these types of boxes where you're paying for a lifetime supply of a service, where if you can't trust them to just cut the box off at any given time, then I wouldn't spend your money on these products. I would not recommend anybody buys this product. I've got a playlist on my channel for anybody that's interested. Just search for the Android TV playlist and there's plenty of other alternatives there that you can purchase if you're looking for something like this. Anyway, that's it for this particular video. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And I'd really appreciate if you can give this video a thumbs up as well. And until the next one, thanks very much for watching.